Hi everyone, my name is Shirley. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm sitting alone in my small apartment, staring at my phone. The screen is black, but I can still see that I missed 9 calls from Mom. I already know what they're about. Probably something amazing Brenda did again. You know how some families always have a favorite child? Well, in our family, that's Brenda, my sister. She's the one who can do no wrong. If there is such a thing as a crown for being the perfect daughter, Brenda would be wearing it every day. Shirley, why can't you be more like your sister? I can still hear Mom's voice from last week's dinner. She just closed another big meeting with a client. Funny thing is, I'm the one who set that meeting up. But of course, no one mentions that. Brenda just shows up, smiles, takes the credit, and moves on. Meanwhile, I do all the hard work in the background, and no one seems to notice. Things really changed after Dad passed away 3 years ago. Since then, it's like I've been invisible. I worked so hard in college, graduated at the top of my class with a degree in business administration from Strayer. Brenda, on the other hand, barely made it through community college. Guess who got the brand new BMW when she graduated?
Not me.
I didn't even get a congratulations card. When I asked Mom why Brenda got the car, she just smiled and said, "Sweetheart, Brenda needs to keep up appearances for her social circle.
You understand, right?
You're the practical one." That's what I always hear, the practical one. What it really means is, we don't need to impress anyone with you. But what really broke me was last month, during our so-called family bonding trip to Paylate a Fumanala. Mom said it was important that we spend time together as a family. I agreed, hoping we could reconnect. But when we got there was a problem with the hotel booking. They only had 1 suite left. Mom looked stressed, holding her fancy purse tight, and said, "There's only 1 room left." I watched as Brenda confidently rolled her expensive Louis Vuitton suitcase to the elevator. She smiled at me and said, "Don't worry, Shirley, the parking lot has a great view of the ocean." I thought she was joking, but when I turned to Mom, she just sighed and said, "Shirley, don't be difficult. You know we've been on a tight budget since your father passed. Brenda needs her rest for the charity brunch tomorrow." So yes, I ended up sleeping in my car, on a family trip, while Brenda relaxed in the suite above me. That night, I realized in this family, I'm just the backup. The one who's always expected to understand, to give in, to stay quiet. And honestly, I'm getting tired of it. "She's networking with potential investors," Mom had said. "Right, budgeting, huh?" That same day, I saw a receipt on her desk for a brand new pair of designer shoes that cost $1,100. I couldn't believe it. She had the money for expensive shoes but told me we were tight on cash. That night, I sat curled up in the back seat of my old Honda Civic with a small travel pillow. The car was cold, and I was tired, but I was also done. Done being the family's doormat. Done being pushed to the side, like I didn't matter. That night, something in me changed. I made a decision. I pulled out my laptop and finally opened the business plan I had been avoiding for months. It was an idea I'd been working on for a while, a tech startup focused on financial security systems. It was something I knew Dad would have been proud of. He always believed in hard work and smart thinking. I could hear his voice in my head, encouraging me to go for it. The next morning, I walked through the hotel lobby holding my laptop bag. Brenda strutted past in a bright designer sundress and gave me a once-over. "Oh my God, Shirley," she said with a laugh. "You look terrible. Is that really what you're wearing to brunch?" "I actually have work to do," I said calmly, holding my laptop closer. Mom shook her head and sighed. "Always the boring one. This is why you'll never get anywhere in life. No charm, no connections." They didn't know the full story. I've been quietly working behind the scenes for years. While they were busy showing off at parties and charity events, I was learning how to code. I've been building a security system on my own time, all while helping with the family business. They thought I was just the quiet girl who filed papers and followed orders. Let them think that. I looked at my phone again. Another missed call from Mom. That made 4. She was probably calling about the big New Year's Eve gala, where Brenda would once again be the center of attention. Everyone would clap for her, take pictures, and talk about how perfect she is. But I'm not playing that game anymore. While they're worried about keeping up appearances, I'm creating something real. Dad always told me that success is the best kind of payback. He also said to be patient, to watch, wait, and strike when the time is right. Well, Dad, I've been watching. For 5 long years. I've seen every fake smile, every stolen idea, every time they looked past me. Now it's my turn. They still think I'm just the quiet one. That's fine. They won't see me coming. But when they do, I promise, it'll be a surprise they'll never forget. Sometimes the quiet ones make the loudest impact. And my time is now. For years, I let everyone think I was the failure in the family. I kept my head down and didn't argue, even when I knew things were unfair. But that act was getting old. A few weeks later, I was working late at the office. The quiet helped me focus on our company's quarterly reports. Numbers don't lie, and I liked the peace. That's when something strange caught my eye, a pattern in the money transfers that didn't look right. It wasn't part of our usual business. I was deep in thought when I heard a familiar voice. "You're still here? Don't you have anything better to do?" Brenda said, suddenly leaning on the side of my cubicle. She had her expensive designer bag on her arm and looked ready to go out for another fancy dinner. "Just finishing up the Henderson account," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "Oh, that," she said casually. "I already told the board I completed that one." My heart started pounding. "You what?" I asked, trying not to sound angry. "I've been working on that for weeks." She laughed and flipped her hair.
Please.
Like they'd believe you finished it. Everyone already thinks you can barely hold yourself together. I wanted to yell, but I didn't. I remembered the time I worked hard to land the Wilson contract, only for it to disappear from my desk. A week later, it showed up in Brenda's folder, with her name on it. Nobody asked questions. Later that night, after everyone had left, I stayed behind. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. I reopened the financial records and kept digging. My gut was right. I noticed several small money transfers, tiny amounts, nothing big enough to raise alarms. But all of them were going to a hidden account in the Corsica island. It looked like someone was slowly stealing money just under the radar. I was so focused I didn't hear Samuel, the night security guard, come in. "Still here?" he asked, making me jump. "Just catching up on some work," I said quickly, shutting my laptop. "Oh, your mom left some files for tomorrow's meeting. Want me to bring them to you?" I nodded, trying to stay calm. When Samuel handed me the folder, I glanced through it, just out of curiosity. What I found made my stomach turn. There were documents with Mom's signature approving fake consulting fees sent to fake companies. I saw Brenda's expense reports claiming luxury business trips that never happened. This wasn't just a mistake. It was 3 years' worth of stealing from the company. From Dad's legacy. The next morning, Brenda walked into the office like nothing was wrong, coffee in hand, wearing sunglasses indoors and 40 minutes late. "Emergency board meeting in an hour," someone said aloud.
Good, I thought.
The truth is finally coming. Let's see how perfect they look when the lies start to fall apart. "Try not to embarrass yourself this time," Brenda said, her voice full of fake sweetness. I just nodded, pretending not to care, but inside, my thoughts were spinning fast. During the meeting, I sat quietly as everyone went through their usual act. Brenda stood up, confident as ever, and said, "The Spain expansion is going exactly as planned." She smiled proudly as if she had done all the work, but every word she said was straight from my research notes. "Excellent work, Brenda," Mom said with a proud smile. Then she turned to me. "Shirley, please try to stay awake during these important discussions." I kept my head down, acting like I was doodling on my notepad. In reality, I was secretly recording everything on my phone. Then Mom dropped the big surprise. "The board has raised some concerns about strange charges on our company account," she said, her voice calm but sharp. "It seems someone has been spending company money without permission." I looked up in shock. She slowly slid a paper toward me across the table. "Shirley, care to explain these charges?" My heart dropped as I looked at the paper. It was filled with fake purchases, all made to look like I had done them. They were made to look real, but I had never seen them before. "These aren't mine," I said quickly, my voice shaking. Mom didn't blink. The evidence suggests otherwise, she said with a cold look. Really, sis? Brenda added with a smirk. A shopping spree on the company card? Dad would be so disappointed. I felt sick. I wanted to yell, to cry, to scream the truth, but I stayed quiet. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed at the office and got to work. I opened my private server and started uploading every piece of evidence I had. Every fake document, every strange money transfer, and every made-up business expense. I had spent years quietly watching and collecting everything. Now it was all neatly saved and organized, proof of 3 years of lies. Just then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Brenda. The board's considering suspending you while they investigate. You really shouldn't have tried to play in the big leagues, little sis. I stared at the screen for a moment, then smiled. Because what Brenda and Mom didn't know was that I had already found records of secret bank accounts overseas. I had proof of money being moved quietly to the Corsica island under fake names. I had everything I needed. They thought they were untouchable. They thought I would stay quiet forever. But they were wrong. And soon, the truth would come out. And when it did, it would shake their perfect little world to the core. Before Dad passed away, he taught me everything he knew about following money trails. He said that numbers tell a story. You just have to know how to read them. I never forgot that. A new message popped up on my phone. This time it was from Mom. Family dinner tomorrow. We need to talk about your future with the company. Perfect, I thought. Let them believe they're still in control. They didn't know I had copies of every file they thought they had destroyed. Every email they believed was deleted. Every shady transaction they tried to hide, I saved it all. A few weeks later, I sat in a bright, modern conference room, far from the family business. Across from me was Mr. Alexander, the CEO of a major tech company. He smiled warmly. We're excited to invest $1 million into your security software, Miss Sisha, he said. Your system for finding financial fraud is truly something new. I smiled back, thinking of the time I spent secretly watching Brenda and Mom move money around. They had unknowingly been my test subjects. Watching them cheat the system gave me insight no textbook ever could. I saw exactly how fraud works, and now I had built the perfect tool to stop it. Back at the family office, I kept acting like nothing had changed. I stayed quiet and did my work while secretly preparing my resignation letter. Brenda barged into my cubicle one afternoon and dropped a thick pile of papers on my desk. Did you finish these reports? She asked, without looking at me. Almost done, I replied calmly. How's the Robertson account going? She smiled and flipped her hair. Closed it yesterday. Mom's throwing a dinner tonight to celebrate my promotion to COO. Try to wear something nice for once. That evening at Lablink, our family's favorite fancy restaurant, I sat quietly as the usual show unfolded. To our new chief operating officer, Mom announced, lifting her champagne glass. Brenda, your father would be so proud. Thanks, Mommy, Brenda said, her voice full of pride. Then she looked at me. I just wish some people understood what real success looks like. The Robertson account was quite impressive, I said, sipping my water. See? Brenda laughed. Even Shirley can admit when I do something great. Especially the part where you used my entire proposal, I said quietly. Word for word. Even left in the typo I put on page 3 on purpose. The room went silent for a full 5 seconds. Don't be ridiculous, Mom snapped. Brenda worked hard on that presentation. I looked down at my glass, hiding a small smile. They still didn't get it. They thought I was just the quiet one, the boring one, the failure. But soon, they'd learn that real power doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be smart, patient, and ready. And I was more than ready. When did you even have time to do anything between your spa appointment on Sunday and your 1-hour lunch on Monday? I asked calmly. You're just jealous, Brenda snapped, her eyes full of anger. You always have been. Face it, you'll never be more than a glorified secretary. I didn't react. Instead, I reached into my bag and pulled out an envelope. I slid it across the table toward them. What's this? Brenda asked with a smirk. Actually, I said, This is my resignation. Brenda burst into laughter right away. Resignation? Seriously? To do what? Mom leaned forward, pretending to sound concerned. Where will you go, Shirley? Who would even hire you? I stood up quietly, placing money on the table to cover my untouched meal. Thank you both, I said. You've made everything so clear over the years. Congratulations on your promotion, Brenda. I'm sure you'll get exactly what you deserve. As I walked away from the table, I heard Mom's voice behind me. Running away again, Shirley? Typical. Always such a disappointment. Later that night, I sat in my car, checked my phone, and smiled. Another email from my investors had arrived. The contract was ready to be signed. Office space had been secured. Everything was moving forward. When I got home, I opened my laptop and added details from tonight's dinner to my growing folder of evidence. Let them laugh. Let them believe I was walking away in shame. The truth was, everything was going exactly as I had planned. My phone buzzed again, a text from Brenda. Pathetic attention grab. Come back when you grow up. Then another one, this time from Mom. Your father would be ashamed. I looked over at the photo on my desk, Dad and me at my college graduation.
He had been so proud that day.
Don't worry, Dad, I whispered. I've learned exactly how they operate. And soon, everyone else will know too. The next morning, I moved into my new office. My team had already been hired. My security software patent was being processed. And my first big client was ready to sign on. Everything was coming together. Later that week, as I sipped coffee in my bright corner office, a news alert popped up on my tablet. The headline read, Breaking news, Sisha Industries executives charged with embezzlement. Mother-daughter duo accused of stealing millions. I leaned back in my chair, calm and quiet. My anonymous tip, backed by 3 years of saved documents, emails, and financial records, had started a full federal investigation. The truth was finally out. They thought I was weak. They thought I would stay silent. They thought I would just walk away and disappear. But they never saw this coming. Now the whole world would know who the real frauds were. And I was just getting started. The information I had collected over the years turned out to be very helpful to the team of forensic accountants. It was everything they needed to trace the fraud. Every fake document, every shady payment, I had it all saved, ready to go. Then my office intercom buzzed. Miss Sisha, your mother and sister are in the lobby, my assistant said. Security knows what to do. I replied without even looking up from my work. My phone buzzed again and again with messages. I glanced at them. Please, we need to talk. They're freezing our accounts. Your sister made mistakes, but we're still your family. Just give us 9 minutes. I didn't respond. I forwarded every message to my lawyer and put my phone face down. Let them feel what it's like to be ignored. Let them feel what I felt for years. The headlines were everywhere. And honestly, they were pretty entertaining. Prominent socialite to Sisha and daughter removed from charity board. Sisha family scandal shocks business community. Former COO Brenda Sisha seen leaving court after asset freeze. Then Brenda finally reached me by calling from a number I didn't recognize. Her voice was shaking. You've ruined us, she cried. We're nothing now. Are you happy? I took a deep breath and answered calmly. Actually, I am. That's how karma works. We're your family, she pleaded. No, I said. Family doesn't make their daughter sleep in a car. Family doesn't steal her work and pretend it's their own. Family doesn't frame her for crimes they committed. We've changed, she whispered. We need you. No, I said again. You don't need me. You need my money. And that's not the same thing. Then I ended the call and blocked the number. I turned to look out my office window. The sunset lit up the city skyline in a warm, golden glow. On my desk was a framed newspaper article with a bold headline. Rising tech CEO Shirley Sisha's security software changes the game in fraud detection. Just then, my phone buzzed one more time. It was a message from Samuel, the night security guard from the old office. Saw the news. Your dad would be proud. I smiled, and for the first time in a long while, I felt truly at peace. What would you do if your own family tried to destroy you, lied about you, and stole from you for years? Would you expose them right away? Or would you do what I did? I stayed quiet. I watched. I gathered proof. And I built something better, not for revenge, but for my future. In the end, I didn't just survive. I won.